The tennis world is full of amazing players, and some are obviously better than others, but we can't deny that we've seen some amazing matches these past few years, especially from Carlos Alcaraz, and after his triumph at Indian Wells, he moved up to the top of the ATP rankings. Did you know that Rafael Nadal dropped out of the top 10 for the first time in 18 years? Poor Rafa. The Spanish teenager cruised past Russian Daniil Medvedev in the final and retook the top spot from Novak Djokovic. Was sadly not at the Indian Wells this time because he isn't vaccinated against COVID.
That's so good.
We also saw American Taylor Fritz dropping 5 spots to world number 10 after his title defense ended in the quarterfinals. Now, probably one of the saddest moments we had in the Indian Wells Open is actually because we didn't see someone. Rafa has been out injured since a second-round exit at the Australian Open, so he fell to 13th place. The 22-time Grand Slam champ has previously been inside the top 10 since April 2005. Now, a former major finalist also showed some praise for Alcaraz.
Again facing a break point.
Greg Rusetsky, like many others, was quite impressed with how well Carlos Alcaraz played. The young gun beat all 6 rivals in straight sets and toppled Daniil Medvedev in the title match. We still can't believe a teenager claimed his 3rd Masters 1000 crown with a dominant 6-3, 6-2 victory in 70 minutes, let alone against an in-form Russian. Alcaraz was ready and he knew he had to bring his A-game. He knew that this was the only way to beat Medvedev and break his winning streak, and that is exactly what he did. He grabbed an early break and controlled the pace from the get-go and had a finish that should be written into the record books. Carlos did everything right behind the initial shot, never experiencing issues in his games and mounting the pressure on the other side. Daniil could only stand there powerless. His rival was just too strong. He failed to impose his strokes and move his opponent away from his comfort zone. Daniil Medvedev lost serve 3 times from as many chances offered to the Spaniard to settle for the runner-up prize. He played defensive tennis and stayed under 10 winners. He never looked like a serious competitor. The opening set saw several comfortable holds and one challenging service game for Daniil that cost him dearly. Carlos held at 30 in the encounter's first game and fired one brilliant backhand cross-court winner in the second to take an early break. He was mixing up his strokes stunningly, and Alcaraz fired a service winner in Game 3 for a hold at love and a healthy advantage after 9 minutes. Both of the players served well in the remaining games, and Carlos wrapped up the set with a service winner in Game 9 for 6-3 after 35 minutes of playtime. So it's clear to see that Carlos Alcaraz toppled over Daniil Medvedev for his first Indian Wells title.
And he will become the world number 1.
Nothing was working Daniil's way, and he got broken at love at the start of the second set after a double fault. Alcaraz confirmed this advantage with a hold at love in Game 2. He took one massive step toward the finishing line with amazing backhands in Game 3 that pushed him 3-0 up. The Spaniard forced the rival's mistakes in the 4th game to extend the lead. He sailed to a victory and the trophy after 53 minutes. Medvedev at least avoided a disaster with fine holds in Games 5 and 7 before Alcaraz served for the victory at 5-2. Daniil saved a match point and reached the first deuce on the return. However, Carlos made sure to take the victory and seize the second match point. This is another amazing success for a player so young, and we can't wait to see what the young lad has in store for us in the future. Greg Rusetsky also had a few words to say about Carlos. He said that the first time he saw Carlos play, he thought that Carlos is going to need to improve his physique and serve a bit, and he already has.
Oh, what a dig from Alcaraz.
He said that he sees no weakness in Carlos' game, and that it's like putting together the big three into one player. He has never seen a 19-year-old player compete as he does, and neither have we. Carlos has progressed tactically, and the way he destroyed Medvedev in the Indian Wells final was unbelievable. We can't wait to see what happens to tennis after the big three when Carlos steps in, although Greg does sound a bit worried. So did you know that Alcaraz might not be number one for much longer? Well, maybe. Carlos Alcaraz's coach has claimed that the teenager isn't fussed about his ranking, despite facing the threat of losing his number one standing. We all know that Carlos and Novak have been in a battle for the top spot this year, and they've jumped over each other a few times already. Carlos says he wants to copy the big three, but he isn't influenced by trying to stay number one.
A special talent wins a special.
Alcaraz is currently trying to defend his Miami Open title after winning the trophy 12 months ago. He's on a winning streak now after the Indian Wells and taking the number one spot. But now he must win the Miami Open to stay at the top of the rankings, or Novak will take the spot back. Novak took the spot after winning the Australian Open, but Alcaraz leaped over him when he won the Indian Wells. But his coach is saying that he doesn't really care about the rankings. Carlos's coach said, "I don't think that Carlos being number one or number two influences him too much in terms of how he approaches matches." Did you know that Alcaraz's coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, was a former world number one himself? Juan Carlos feels that his protege has bigger things that he focuses on, and that this helps him to avoid the pressure the rankings could possibly have on him. So do you think that Carlos Alcaraz will win more Grand Slams this year than Novak? The 2003 French Open champion had a few more things to say as well. He said that it's true when you get higher in the rankings, you'll feel more and more pressure, and that you feel the need to win all of your matches. He added to this by saying that if Carlos's mind is on that all the time, his tennis won't flow. That is why they've focused on the aspect of his growth so that they can ensure everything goes well and flows swimmingly on the court. So yes, Alcaraz isn't too worried about the rankings and doesn't really care too much about it, but he does have his eyes set on something even bigger. He wants to emulate the big three: Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and Roger Federer. At the US Open, he fulfilled his dream of being a Grand Slam winner and number one. However, he is one ambitious player who constantly sets new and bigger goals for himself. The 8-time title winner has one amazing career in front of him, and we're here to watch it. But what do you think? Is Carlos Alcaraz the new tennis king, or will Novak Djokovic take his spot on the throne back? Also, what do you think about Carlos Alcaraz and him destroying Daniil Medvedev at the Indian Wells? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time in another video.